It started with a spontaneous road trip. Vanessa, a 24-year-old aspiring journalist, had always been fascinated by urban legends and ghost stories. She'd come across an obscure internet thread about a forgotten village deep in the woods, supposedly cursed. Those who went there were never heard from again. Most dismissed it as just another internet hoax, but for Vanessa, it was the perfect story for her blog. "Think about it," Vanessa said, excitement in her eyes. "If we find this place, I'll have an exclusive. If it's fake, we'll still get a great story." Her childhood friend, Jake, was less enthusiastic. A 25-year-old tech enthusiast, Jake preferred his adventures to be virtual. Video games, coding, and online forums were his domain. He wasn't fond of ghost stories, but he'd tagged along out of loyalty to Vanessa. "I don't know. This whole thing feels like a bad idea. But fine, let's do it. Someone has to keep you from getting lost out there." The last member of their trio was Emily, a 23-year-old artist with a fascination for the macabre. She often drew eerie landscapes and surreal figures, so when Vanessa suggested exploring a potentially haunted village, Emily had jumped at the chance. "If we're lucky, maybe we'll find something worth painting?" She grinned as she loaded her sketch pad into her backpack. After a long drive through increasingly remote back roads, they finally found the overgrown trail Vanessa had read about. It was late afternoon by the time they reached it, the sun dipping low behind the towering trees. The forest was dense, shadows stretching across the path like skeletal fingers. They parked the car and continued on foot, Vanessa leading the way with a sense of purpose. The village. As they walked, the forest grew eerily quiet. No birds chirped, no rustling leaves, just an oppressive silence that made each step sound unnaturally loud. Jake kept glancing around nervously, while Emily seemed entranced by the twisted shapes of the trees. After what felt like hours, they finally emerged into a clearing. Before them stood the remains of a small village. Most of the houses were little more than crumbling wooden skeletons, their roofs sagging inward, windows shattered long ago. An old well stood at the center of the clearing, its stone rim covered in moss. "This is it," Vanessa whispered, awe mixed with unease. She pulled out her camera and began filming. "Look at this place. It's like time stopped." Jake wasn't impressed. "It's just some abandoned settlement, probably from the 1800s. He glanced at his phone. No signal. "Great, we're officially cut off." Emily wandered toward the nearest house, sketchpad in hand. The wooden door was slightly ajar, creaking as she pushed it open. Inside, the air was stale, thick with dust. Old furniture lay scattered across the floor, broken and decayed. But what caught her attention were the walls, covered in strange red markings. "Guys, come here," she called out, her voice echoing in the empty room. Vanessa and Jake joined her, their expressions shifting from curiosity to unease. The markings were crude drawings of stick figures with hollow eyes, all facing toward a single point, the back of the room where another door stood, half hidden in shadow. "This is creepy," Jake muttered. "Let's not mess with it." But Vanessa was already moving toward the door. "Come on, this is exactly what we came for. We have to see what's down there." The descent. The door creaked open, revealing a narrow staircase leading into darkness. A chill swept through the room, and for a moment they all hesitated. "Maybe we shouldn't," Jake began, but Vanessa cut him off. "We can't turn back now. It's just a cellar. Probably nothing down there, but we won't know unless we check." She switched on her flashlight and began descending the stairs. Emily followed close behind, with Jake bringing up the rear, muttering under his breath. The air grew colder as they descended, carrying a faint, rotten smell. The walls were made of rough stone, damp and crumbling in places. At the bottom, they found themselves in a small, dimly lit room. In the center was an old wooden table, covered in dust. On it lay a large, leather-bound book, its cover cracked and weathered. Strange symbols were etched into the leather, and the edges of the pages were stained a dark, rusty red. "Look at this," Vanessa said, brushing off the dust. She opened the book, revealing pages filled with incomprehensible writing and bizarre drawings. "This is incredible. It's like some kind of ritual text." Jake's unease deepened. "We should leave. This feels wrong." Before anyone could respond, the flashlight flickered and died, plunging them into darkness. Jake swore under his breath as he fumbled for his phone, but it wouldn't turn on. Emily tried hers, but it was the same. No power, no signal, nothing. "Stay calm," Vanessa said, though her voice wavered. Then they heard it. A faint whispering sound, coming from somewhere deep in the darkness. It was too quiet to make out words, but the tone was unmistakable. Cold, mocking, and malicious. "We need to get out of here," Jake said urgently, grabbing Vanessa's arm. They turned back toward the stairs only to find that the doorway they had come through was gone. In its place was a solid stone wall. Panic set in as they searched for any way out, but the whispering grew louder, more distinct. "You shouldn't have come," the voice hissed. The figure. Out of the shadows, a figure emerged. It was tall, draped in tattered black robes that seemed to shift and ripple like liquid shadow. Its face was hidden beneath a hood, but two burning red eyes gleamed from within. The figure raised a skeletal hand, pointing directly at them. "You belong here now," it intoned, its voice echoing unnaturally through the room. Vanessa, Emily, and Jake backed away, fear gripping their hearts. But before they could react further, the figure moved, faster than anything human. The last thing Vanessa saw was those glowing eyes, impossibly close, before everything went black. Epilogue. Days later, search parties found Vanessa's car abandoned at the edge of the forest. There was no sign of the three friends, despite an extensive search. The only clue was a strange symbol carved into the hood of the car, a symbol matching the markings in the village. Rumors spread, and thrill seekers flocked to the area, but none could find the trail leading to the village. It was as if the place had vanished. Some say it only appears to those it chooses, and once you find it, there's no way back. But late at night, some claim they can still hear faint whispers coming from the woods.